Not by his mama.
I don't know, but like I said, he's had some practice with that smacker though. That ain't first motherfucker he smacked.
Like an open hand punch.
When he put it on him, put the stank on it. Whoa!
He put it on the shirt.
Itch. Hey, old boy took it like a champ. You know, he's been smacked before. Took it like a champ. When old boy punted him.
Hello, Beckley.
Hello.
There's nothing illegal in the backpack at the moment.
I hope you're feeling better.
Oh, yeah.
Good, good. I knew you were pretty bad when you went home early the other night and then wasn't in class the next day. It had to be bad.
It was rough.
I can imagine. I'm glad you're better and back on track. Listen, we got a hurdle we're going to have to try to get over probably from now till the end of class in the spring, and it's going to be a little bit difficult, and that is that this room is directly over the pool, and they heat that pool, and this room is about 900 degrees. So we have running over here to the side, which is going to make it more difficult for you all to hear me and for me to hear you all. So please be patient. If you don't hear me, if you can't hear what I'm telling you, give me the sign. I'll repeat it. I'm happy to. And in the meantime, when I'm talking to you all, if I ask you to repeat something, please don't get too upset at me because it's a lot of noise and it's just so hot in here we can't stand it.
Understandable. We was discussing that Baltimore cop that smacked that kid in the school. Did you see that video?
No, when did it happen?
Last week.
No, I have not seen it, but I need to see it.
Go on your computer and look real quick. Go to YouTube.
Somebody here got YouTube to look it up? I have.
Yeah. What is it?
The police officer smacked the student before she was school.
Yeah, just search Baltimore cop smacks kid.
That's where little teacher on the side.
Oh.
Thought he could set stuff up.
Oh. Alright. Rewind.
You put the Macho Man Randy Savage smacks on that kid.
I do every morning. Why is that? Oh, is it really? I didn't realize that.
I'm not gonna sit there and listen to this on the top. We don't have to back over him. We get some free music. For a second.
I want to keep going. Now this guy's doing whatever it is he's doing with the other end.
This is a 10-year-old. There's actually another one.
Today, you all are going to get the information that you're going to get for the test on Thursday. My design is to finish the notes today.
He had beat him, he just tapped him in the forehead on that one, that
Uh,
was amazing.
My design is to give you the notes today. It's going to be on the test on Thursday. On Thursday, you all come back to class. You take the test. We call it a day. And I'm going to give you all an opportunity to relax during spring break. No homework. He got hit.
Tell me he don't look like Joe Man Randy Savage smacking that kid.
Needless to say, not only will that gentleman not ever be a policeman again, he's going to prison.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't suspend him, they just transferred his duties.
Oh, you love it. Oh, I'm sure
It'll catch
when
up
it's
with
all said and done,
It'll
it'll
catch
be
up
gone.
There is a process to that. It takes a little while. So let me,
They
let's
ended
jump
up
in.
putting every
Again,
cop out of Baltimore schools over there.
well, and here again, and if this doesn't go to this class, but when you ascend to a position of authority, you have to put people in jobs that match their personality and their skill set, right? And it's obvious to me that that gentleman did not need to be in a school system because he had no patience and tolerance for children. All right? You don't put people in a situation where they're going to fail. And that's what his boss did to him. He put him in a situation where he was going to fail. Because that gentleman looked like to me he was older, didn't look like to me he had a whole lot of tolerance, a whole lot of patience. And chances are that's how his daddy raised him. Talk back to me.
In the other meeting, possibly between 16 and 18, he was,
It doesn't
he
make
was
any
a high
difference.
school, but
I
still.
ain't never seen a time when it was all right to reach out and smack somebody. You just, I mean, under color of law, you just don't do it. You may feel like you could want to do it, you may have it in your mind, but you do not hit people. I mean, you just don't reach out and smack them. All right, so everything you're gonna be tested on for Thursday is gonna come from today's notes. Here's my goal. My goal is to take this test on Thursday, let you guys go out here on a reasonable time, and I'm gonna give you a week to relax. All of my classes, hopefully, you don't have to think about my classes while you're off for your week on spring break. Relax, recharge your batteries, have a good time. When we come back, we're going to push really hard between coming back off spring break and the end of school. We're going to be busy, we're going to push hard, we're going to get a lot done. Having said that, I can't tell you enough how pleased I am to be in this class with you and with you folks at Beckley. All four of my classes are just doing a marvelous job. I've pushed you all twice as hard as I pushed my groups last semester. Last semester, I was not pushing as hard. We were all trying to get used to each other, and I kind of wanted everybody to get used to it when I come in. I am pushing harder this semester because I see the potential in so many of you, especially in you, Ms. Williams. You're wonderful, and I see the potential in you, and I see great things, and I'm going to push hard. Why do I push hard? I'm not pushing hard to get anybody to fail. I'm not pushing hard to get anybody to flunk out. I'm pushing you hard to prepare you for a very demanding job, and you all are responding beautifully, wonderful. Everybody in my classes, Beckley here, everybody just does a super good job, and I'm so very proud of all of you. You're unique. You all have your own personality and your own style, and I like that. But when it comes time to solve these problems and do these things and turn this work in, you're all turning in really good work, and I do appreciate that. I do. I recognize it and I appreciate it. So let's jump into what we're going to talk about today, which is racial profiling. Somebody tell me what racial profiling is. Give me a definition to racial profiling. Judging judging somebody by the color of their skin, but who's the one doing the judging?
Law enforcement.
Officer, authority, officer, right? So y'all are right there. Let me give you the official version out of the book. Racial profiling is any police-initiated action. Any police-initiated action based on race, ethnicity, or national origin. Any police-initiated action based on race, ethnicity, or national origin, rather than behavior or information received. Rather than behavior or information received. Let me read it again. Read it again. All right. Racial profiling is any police-initiated action based on race, ethnicity, or national origin, rather than behavior or information received. Now, before I get into any more of our notes, I want to read you a couple of scenarios. I want you all to tell me, I don't necessarily need a response. What I want you to do is pay attention to these scenarios and point out and be prepared to point out some of the things, some of the mistakes that were made, some of the areas of vulnerability in these scenarios as we go through our notes and we begin to identify perhaps some of this racial profiling, okay? The first scenario is this. Dr. Randolph is a 42-year-old dentist. He lives in New Jersey. This is a true story. He has a commute to work one way of about 37 or 38 miles. So that's 60-some miles, almost 70 miles round trip, right? Every day. He has been stopped since 1991, he has been stopped by the New Jersey State Police more than 50 times and has yet to receive a ticket. He is often asked if he has drugs or guns. The two common denominators, or the two variables in this equation, are that he drives a BMW and he is an African American. Mr. Alvin Penn is the deputy president of the Connecticut State Senate. Not long ago, well, it's been 3 or 4 years now, he was pulled over in a town called Trumbull. Those of you who are familiar with Connecticut and that country, do you know where Trumbull is? No? Yes? I've never been. That's why I ask. I've never been to Trumbull. I don't know. He was pulled over in a town named Trumbull in his minivan. The police officer asked him, "Do you know what town you're in?" Now, the reason that question is significant is because Trumbull is 98% white. However, it sits close to and shares a common border with the town of Bridgeport. The town of Bridgeport is predominantly African American. The common denominator on this gentleman is that he was driving a minivan as an African American man in an all-white community. These two stops played an important role in the beginnings of bringing awareness to and beginning to change racially profiled stops. Okay? And I wanted you to know those two stories, where they come from, and how they, and I want you to see as we go through our notes what impact those two stops have had on the process of identifying racially profiled stops and what we're doing to address those racially profiled stops as we move forward in criminal justice. All right? So, I don't think it's any surprise that data and surveys show a substantial link between race-based stops and animosity of toward the police by its citizens. Would you all agree to that? There tends to be a lot of animosity, especially in minority communities. So, come in, young man. There are three things that factor into a police officer's decision to stop or encounter a citizen. There are three things that factor in. Okay? To the decision to have an encounter. Whether it's most of the time we're talking about Terry stops now, right? Or traffic stops. So the three things that factor in here is the officer's personal attitude, the situational factors, and the perceived criminal suspicious behavior. Officer's personal attitudes. Yes, I'm going to go back over them again, I promise. Officers' personal attitudes are something like this. One of the things that drives me crazy as a police officer is to see a child out of a safety seat. An infant child roaming around the car while the people driving, not secured in the safety seat. It just makes my blood boil. Now, if you're 18 or 16 or whatever, and you decide you don't want to wear a safety belt, that's one thing. But when you're taking care of a 6-month-old, a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, they're not intelligent enough, educated enough to make that decision. As parents, we have a responsibility to keep them safe, so we put them in a safety seat, right? Really makes my blood boil. So my attitude is, if I'm a police officer and I'm going down the road and I see a child that's not in a safety seat, I'm on that, right? I'm going to turn around and get that. I'm aggressive. Because I bring my personal attitude into that stop. You see what I'm saying? Whatever your personal attitudes are about things, you bring it with you into those stops. You have to temper it, mind you, but you bring a lot of those things with you into the stop. Situational factors. A lot of times when you're doing a Terry stop, an investigative stop, situational factors play a big role in what it is you're doing. For example, and I use this example all the time. I've used it last semester and I'll use it this semester. I like it. 3 guys, 3 young men hanging outside a convenience store, kind of over in this grassy lot, kind of in the shadows. It's 6:30 in the evening, the sun's just kind of going down, and they're just kind of over there hanging around. The convenience store is still open, and there's people coming and going, and there's people everywhere. Is their behavior very suspicious at this point? Not really, right? Because it could just be kids hanging out doing what kids do, right? So it's not real suspicious. Same 3 kids, you change the time of day. The store closes at 11 and it's 1, and they're still hanging out over there in the shadows. Does their behavior get a little more suspicious now? Absolutely. So situational factors definitely play a role in to what a police officer brings to a situation when he's going to encounter those folks, right? Your situational factors definitely play a role. And the perceived criminal or suspicious behavior. And this might be the biggest subjective at all. Because what I might see as suspicious behavior, Ms. Hall might go, nah, people do that all the time. Right? That's not suspicious at all. So therein lies one of the biggest and widest areas of bringing your own self into your police stops that there are, is by looking at it and saying, yeah, you know, that kind of looks suspicious to me. Somebody else is like, nah, it ain't suspicious. Those kids do it all the time. You know? They all the time doing something like that. So it is what you perceive to be suspicious and why it's suspicious that you bring into this stop. So, the way we in law enforcement measure suspicion is the amount of attention given to a particular citizen or vehicle. Right? That's suspicion. That's suspicion. It's the amount of attention police give to a particular citizen or vehicle. we talked about earlier today, and he ain't in this class, but we talked about it. He was in my first class today. He talked about getting pulled over coming out of a community, and they were in a crappy car. And the guy pulls him over and says, your vehicle don't match this community. What are you doing here? You don't belong here. Well, in a sense, that's profiling, right? You're profiling, you're too poor to live here. What are you doing here? And that's certainly in and of itself a type of profiling. It's not racial profiling, but it's a type of profiling, and it's absolutely wrong. But it brings to mind that officer's deciding factors when he was pulling him over. A ratty looking car in a neighborhood where all the houses cost, $600,000 to over $1 million made him suspicious. Is that right? Absolutely not. But is that the trigger that triggered him? Yes, it was. So, suspicious behavior, the suspicious behavior is measured by the officer's interest in the citizen's vehicle. Now, the stop itself, and I want you all to comment on this because I want to hear what you have to say, because this is deep. We're into police work, and we're marrying our police work with our, with our sociology. Me and Mr. Primer. This is the last week we got to do this, so we're in good shape. The stop itself reflects the social aspects of the officer's decision making prior to the stop. What does that mean? Yep. The stop itself reflects the social aspects of the officer's decision-making skills before the stop. In other words, the stop itself reflects his decision-making process before he stopped that car. The stop reflects why he stopped the car. His decision-making process. It exposes his decision-making process. In other words, if that guy pulled over that car because it was a ratty car coming in a real high-class neighborhood, and he goes up to the window and he says, I pulled you over because you crossed the center line twice. Well, he lied to him, but at some point he's going to get around to, man, this is a crappy car. What are you doing here, right? Eventually, his attitudes about the stop, his decision-making process is going to be exposed. There's a man named Wilson. He did a study. I'm not sure of his first name. I was reading a study, and I got caught up in the study, and I really didn't pay any attention to his first name. You won't need to know his name for the test. You just need to know Wilson's study. Wilson's study suggests that an officer's department has a huge impact on his or her decision-making process. Somebody tell me what that means. Louder, I got this thing running in my ear.
How his peers perceive it?
Yeah, but I'm with you, but there's a much bigger game at play here.
If racial profiling is like business as usual, officers are more likely to do that.
I agree with you, and I'm going there in just a bit, but I want to talk about, and you're absolutely on the right track. I want us to bend it around just a little bit, though, because I want us to talk about how a police department can influence every decision that a police officer makes. Not only racial profiling, but also his decision to stop, do Terry stops, make arrests all the way down the line, even legal ones. His department can have a direct impact on that, not just racial profiling, but you have to understand this in order to get to how we're going to combat racial profiling and racial profiling issues. So tell me more in a bigger picture. You're absolutely on the right track. Bigger picture. Who else was talking? Say again? The culture. But tell me more about the culture. It really is. So it's an informal subculture. There's a lot of influence there. Who could tell me what a legalistic police department is? by the book, one that's very strict, one who pays attention to the letter of the law, right? If you are a legalistic police department, you are more likely, many times more likely, to pull people over